Credit to the St. Paul Pioneer Press for getting this scoop. And again, you don't know which side it's coming from the team, from the player. Maybe it's a kind of a team tactic or a player tactic. There's always some kind of motive for why you release something like this. And I don't know. I wouldn't doubt the credibility, but it's also more like the motives behind it, right? But if this is true, and say the team was for sure trying to shop Justin Jefferson, it makes my prediction better of them going at 3-14 or having a crappy season. And like honestly, like if you have a rookie quarterback, like put it this way, if you're shopping Justin Jefferson, I got many things, and maybe I should have kind of wrote it down. One, they screwed up the contract negotiations. Why didn't you sign the guy last year? Now the contracts are going up. CeeDee Lamb's trying to get paid. Jamar Chase trying to get paid. Brandon, are you guys going to get paid? If I'm Justin Jefferson, I'm sitting back. I'm better than all those guys. You pay me after it goes up. You had your opportunity last year, and you made me play on my third-year contract or fourth-year contract. So that's what you get. Then you trade your quarterback, Kirk Cousins, and you have to roll out with Sam Darnold and freaking JJ McCarthy, the fifth quarterback taken in the draft. If I'm Jefferson, I'm sitting back again. And then number 3, they were trying to trade up for Malik Nabers. What were you trying to do? Pair Sam Darnold with Malik Nabers? Yeah, that's going to go well for you. Like, what are we doing here? You trade up to go draft the quarterback like a Drake May, like a Jaden Daniels, not sit back for JJ McCarthy. So Vikings are having a terrible offseason. Yeah, I don't care about Vikings fans coming at me. Yeah, you spent some money on Jonathan Grenard, who had one breakout season. Whatever. It's going to be terrible, and this confirms it to me.
So, should the Vikings... I look, and I said
didn't
it
even answer the
last week.
questions, though, but that was I just wanted to kind of
No.
And no, don't trade him.
I got a point taken off last week for not answering the correct question.
I just needed a rat, okay?
No. So I think we're gonna start seeing this, and I mentioned it last week, that we're starting to get to that point where teams are gonna start looking at the receiver and being like, you know what, adios, goodbye. We can find somebody else that can produce. He won't produce at the same level, but they were literally gonna just, in a sense, go from one LSU receiver to a cheaper one, and one that's younger, and one that's I'm not going to say more explosive, because we don't know how he's going to be at the NFL level. So I don't blame the Vikings for doing it, but I think we're going to get to that point now where you see the Cincinnati Bengals, they now have 2 contracts to worry about when it comes to T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. So now I believe that we're going to start seeing this with the receivers, where big-time receivers aren't going to get paid as much as they think they're going to get paid. I'm sure, because Justin already denied one contract, right? They were willing to pay him like 30, and he said he wanted more than that. So we're starting to get to that point where teams aren't going to be paying these guys that much money. So this is only the beginning, in my opinion, but I think they should try and trade him. And maybe it just depends on if Kevin O'Connell knows that he has a long leash and he's going to have a couple of years to kind of fix this. And maybe he says, you know what, we're good with Addison moving forward. We'll bring in some other receiver help, and we'll get some draft picks for Justin Jefferson. So I do think they should consider trading him if they think that they're not going to be contenders in the next couple of years, kind of the way Gilbert predicted that they won't be this year.
Yeah, Fernando, you're right, and you answered the question, so shout out to you. But I'll say this. They've done this, guys. I mean, they went from Stephon Diggs to Justin Jefferson. I mean, and then now they have Addison there.
They didn't win any playoff games, I'll tell you that.
Exactly. And so why are you, one of the things I've always been told is, why are you paying $20 million and over, or even 30 now, for a wide receiver when you're not going to win? Like we've seen, the Super Bowl winners, they don't have, receivers that are getting paid 20 or $30 million. So yeah, I'm with you, Fernando, on this one. All right. So on today's episode feature the Super Bowl.
The last one was the Rams, right? Cooper Kupp had already been paid, or he got paid that offseason?
No, he got paid after.
Okay, so Tampa Bay with Mike Evans then was the last one where there was.
But it wasn't like the massive contract. Like he got more money recently this offseason.
Yeah.
Oh well. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, Fernando. Today's episode featured the Super Bowl teams from last season, the Chiefs and 49ers. Let's start with the back-to-back champs. What's more likely to happen is they become the first team to win in the Super Bowl era. Remember, in the Super Bowl era, because I have to make sure, because people will come after us if we don't say that the Packers did a three-peat, but that was going into the Super Bowl era, and then or they don't win a Super Bowl in the next 3 years, Fernando. So let me repeat again: do they become the first team to three-peat in the Super Bowl era, or they don't win a Super Bowl in the next 3 years?
They don't win a Super Bowl in the next 3 years.
Wow.
I think at one point the wheels are going to fall off. I think Andy Reid's kind of at that point where he's like, "Well, I've solidified my 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 being in the conversation of one of the greatest head coaches of all time. All he needed was a Super Bowl ring. Now he has 3. His team just keeps on getting filled up with so many distractions that at one point, I remember last year, at one point I saw him and he was kind of like, and you're kind of like, okay, like maybe he's kind of starting to feel a little bit of all of this and everything going on. Then obviously he has the stuff with his sons on the side that's happened before in the past. So I'm sure he's kind of at that point where he's like, you know what, I'm going to give it a couple of years. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs. Don't win a Super Bowl in the next 3 years rather than them three-peat. I just think that you're gonna at one point Kelsey's gonna retire pretty soon. Probably saw his brother just do it. I'm sure he's going to be quick to follow as well, especially if he has other activities outside of football. The way he's been in all these commercials and all that stuff, and all the opportunities that he's going to get pretty soon. Because I mean, I'm no Diddy. The guy's a handsome guy. I'm sure pretty soon Hollywood's going to start calling him, and they're going to try and get him in movies and all this stuff. So, I think that the Chiefs are closer to the end of their dynasty in a sense, and they are still continuing it. And I think I don't. The offensive line has also gotten worse. I don't think they're as good as they were even last year. So I think there's some factors there that some people don't see, but I don't think their team is as strong as it has been in years past.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that notion about this team not being as strong as years past, but I also find it very difficult for them to win 3 consecutive Super Bowls. I think they'll get to the playoffs and maybe the whole like they flame out because of the whole all the mental burdens, and maybe you're right, Fernando. Losing the Jerry Sneak could be something, and or maybe just lack of motivation. Chris Jones got paid, like you mentioned earlier. Maybe he's not the same fierce defensive tackle that we've seen in the last couple of years. So I'm expecting something where like, okay, they're gonna get close, they fall short, and that ends the first chapter of Patrick Mahomes. And remember Tom Brady, where he won the 3 Super Bowls early, and then went a long, like almost 10 years before winning the fourth one. They lost to the Giants twice in the Super Bowl. Then he kind of reinvented himself in the back of his career to get 3 more with New England. Got the 7th one with Tampa Bay. So I think this might be at the end of the first act. Maybe Kelsey retires. They get close, but they fall short, and then you go through some kind of adjustment years where they lose in the wild card, losing the division round, and then maybe Andy Reid leaves too, and it's like, all right, Mahomes, you want to be in the conversation with Tom Brady? Well, Tom Brady had to do it over and over again with different kind of core groups and characters. Yeah, he had Bill Belichick the whole time. You might not have the same luxury with Andy Reid there, but you got to go through some kind of these struggles to prove that you are one of the best of all time. So I think they might go to a couple 2 or 3 years where they don't win it, but they'll be close every single year for as long as Mahomes is around. How about that?
I like it, but what is your answer here?
Isn't that obvious? I just said it. They're gonna go through a whole phase of maybe not winning for a couple years.
Okay, so you're saying they're going to win the three-peat, or they're not going to win it?
No, I said they're gonna come close. Kelsey
Okay,
retires.
gotcha.
Nobody listens
Yeah,
to me on the show, huh?
yeah,
And then go through what Tom Brady had to go through, where 9, 10 years come around, and oh
yeah,
crap, you haven't won a Super Bowl just yet.
El
yeah, no,
sufrido.
yeah. And the reason I posted this question was because of that. Because I went back and I looked at Tom Brady, and after they won back-to-back Super Bowls, they didn't win for a while. And I think that's what everybody is looking for at this point. So it says Mr. Dan and Dago says he doesn't think.
You had to say it on all 4 of our YouTube channels, Dan.
I think when you put one comment, I think it all shoots out from all 4 of
Yeah,
them.
you can change it. I'll show you how to do it, Dan. All right, so I'll give you the point there, Gilbert. You're right. I mean, I think it's going to take a little while for them. I don't think they're going to win they'll three-peat, or they might. I mean, who knows? But
whoa, wait. So what did you pick that they won't? You did the same thing as me.
Yeah. I just had to give you a different answer or a different response. Same answer.
Okay, I thought so for some. Yeah, I didn't listen to you this time. I thought you had said.
Why would I talk about Tom Brady for 9 years?
No, yeah. I thought you were saying that they were going to repeat, and I was going to be like, wait,
fine. I didn't say the words. They won't.
Yeah, no, you're right.
But I did say they're going to lose in the playoffs this year.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Okay. That's why I wanted to make sure. I was like, okay. All right, so the next one is moving on to the 49ers now. What's more likely to happen? The 49ers win the Super Bowl in the next 3 years, or Kyle Shanahan wins the Super Bowl as a coach of another team?
Oh, wow. I'll go with the easy one here. I think the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan will eventually get it done. Like I'm gonna say that if they don't do it this year, then maybe it never happens. So maybe I'm picking the 49ers to win the whole damn Super Bowl. But I don't want to put myself in that I guess in that corner just yet. But I will say clearly Shanahan and the 49ers will find the way to win the Super Bowl. Maybe this year or next year, but I don't think they get to a point where he leaves, wins the Super Bowl somewhere else, and it's kind of like Andy Reid, right, with the Eagles, and then he leaves, goes to the Chiefs. I think they'll make it work. They know what they have in Shanahan. He's like Vic. I remember like they gave him a couple of years where he wasn't making the playoffs, 3 or 4 years, because they just know how smart this guy is, how great of a scheme designer he is, play caller, things like that. So I think they hold on to him for many years to come.
Gilbert, do you know who Sexy Red is?
Some rapper, yeah.
Oh, I guess she's at NXT tonight.
Okay.
Sorry.
I answered. I'm still young.
Damn it.
You don't even know.
No, I don't like either one of these. I don't think either one of these is
about
going
the
to
rapper.
happen. No, I've seen her before. I now I remembered who she is. I just don't see. Okay, this is the reason why I don't like it. I'm not a big Brock Purdy believer, so I'm not a big like, oh, I think Brock Purdy can get it done. And then Kyle Shanahan hasn't shown me in any 3 of his Super Bowls that he could get it done either way. Like it's like as soon as the fourth quarter comes, it's like they shut off the stadium lights that they did for that Super Bowl with the Harbaugh brothers, and all the lights just point at Kyle Shanahan. Everybody's watching to see what he's going to do, and it doesn't come to fruition. So I really think that I'll say Kyle Shanahan wins it for another team. I think we're kind of getting at the point where I'm sure the 49ers ownership is going to get frustrated. They're going to be like, well, what the hell? We haven't won one since Steve Young, and we've had Colin Kaepernick, we've had Jimmy Garoppolo, and we've had Brock Purdy in the Super Bowl, and neither one of those times have we won. We were, 5-0, and now we're 5-3. So what the hell is going on now? Why haven't we won? And I think there's going to be frustration if they don't win one within the next few years. So I'll say Kyle Shanahan wins it for another team that's maybe ready to go and just needs that head coach that playmaker to get going. But I just think that this is a very tough. I think this is tougher than the Chiefs one, just because I'm not a big believer in Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah. So when I was looking, the reason I came up with this one was because I was doing research on both the 49ers and the Chiefs to kind of prepare for this episode. And you know who didn't win in their first stop and then ended up winning because they found their quarterback? And that was, Andy Reid. Andy Reid went through the same thing. He couldn't win in Philadelphia. And finally, they just said, you know what? We're going to let you go. And then they went through their little lull there. And then Andy Reid found his spot with the Kansas City Chiefs. So I think I'm going to give you the point there, Fernando, because you found it eventually where I wanted one of you guys to go. And that was, Kyle Shanahan reminds me a lot of the early part of Andy Reid's career with the Eagles, and I think that's where we're gonna probably end up getting. I don't see them winning, and I'll be, I'll say, that I was wrong, but I just don't see it with the 49ers just because what you just said is Brock Purdy. Are they gonna pay him? There's already questions about that too. So, but we'll talk about that later on.
We'll save this video for February when you guys are both wrong.
Last year there was different points at the beginning. Fans were like, pay him. When they went through that 3-game losing streak, don't pay him, then pay him. And then after the Super Bowl,
not so sure.
Him. So it's going to be a roller coaster ride for Brock Purdy, the same way it was for Jimmy G. And that's just what you're going to get out of these guys. But yeah, no, I agree. I don't know if they have enough to make it to to win a Super Bowl. To be honest,
We'll see, but I think that they're in that window where it's about to close. Especially, we'll see what they figure out with Brock Purdy. All right, Fernando, you're up 2-1 here. A couple of weeks ago, Jared Goff joined Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, and Jalen Hurts as the only quarterbacks making over $50 million a season. Which of these 5 quarterbacks will win the Super Bowl first?
If you don't say Herbert, your brother's gonna come after you in the
no, it's not
comments.
about that. Look, Joe Burrow and Jalen have already had their opportunity and they didn't win. That's not saying that they can't come back and win it. I think Lamar's opportunity was this year because they've lost a lot. Their offensive line isn't as good as it was. The reason why I'm gonna go Justin Herbert is one thing that is clear to me that Jim Harbaugh coming back, he's not messing around this time. And Jim Harbaugh wants that Super Bowl. He already won a college national championship, and that was with trials and tribulations. His first 3 years at Michigan, they did not do well. And as soon as his brother was able to help him and he sent him McDonald and he sent him Minter, everything changed for them. They were able to kind of get it together. They recruited really well, and they were able to win the national championship. Now Jim is back in the NFL. You can tell how hungry he is for a Super Bowl. Again, I think this is going to be a 2-year project before they can contend for a Super Bowl. But I think that out of all those quarterbacks, I think Justin Herbert is going to be the one that what is it? Which he's 5 quarter? Yeah, wins. Yeah, I think Justin will be the first one that wins it. And then obviously, I don't know what happens to Harbaugh after he wins one. I don't know if he's like, oh, I'm one and done and I'm good to go, or if he's going to want to win one. Who knows? But I do think that Jim Harbaugh did return to win a Super Bowl. And again, if he wins one with this franchise, you have to like this franchise has been a losing franchise for over 60 years. If he ends up taking them to a Super Bowl, then you really have to give him all the credit in the world, because this franchise has stepped over themselves multiple times. They've done a lot of stuff that you're just like, what the Marlon McCree, a lot of different things that you're just like, anything that can happen will happen, and it's happened to this franchise. So I'll go Justin Herbert with that one.
No way. I'll give you a response right here. But honestly, I would have gone Joe Burrow and not think twice about it, because maybe the simple answer, who's the best quarterback from this group here, is it's Joe Burrow to me. But health has been an issue. You can't assume anymore. So the next step I'm gonna go to is best team, best surrounding. And what I've seen Jalen Hurts go toe to toe against Patrick Mahomes on the biggest stage. And I get that they lost last year and they were terrible. But just because of one collapse, like they went 10-1 to start the year, we just all of a sudden forgot about the Eagles. I'm not saying Jalen Hurts is Justin Herbert. I'm not saying he's Joe Burrow. Maybe not even Lamar Jackson, but they have the best team. They know how to get to the playoffs. They know how to win. I get Jason Kelsey's gone. I actually thinking about that. It does kind of scare me a little bit. But you still got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, a pretty good defense with a lot of pieces in the secondary that are much better now. So they could get back to it. And I get Nick Sirianni almost got fired, but because he just went to the Super Bowl last year because of Howie Roseman's issues of not building the defense the right way, we're all going to forget that Nick Sirianni went to the Super Bowl. Now I'm going to go with Howie Roseman getting Quinion Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Bryce Huff. You got Jalen Carter. Both sides look good. So Saquon Barkley with a good offensive line. I get no Jason Kelsey, but Jalen Hurts is well equipped to get back to the big game and maybe beat Mahomes again.
Yeah,
He didn't answer the question. He didn't answer the question.
Jalen Hurts, what do you mean?
He didn't answer the question. No. He said, and maybe beat Patrick Mahomes. Equipped to maybe.
No, I'm saying maybe Chiefs get to that Super Bowl. I don't care who he plays, but he's gonna win a Super Bowl before these guys.
I'm gonna go with Gilbert here in terms of he has the more talent right now. We don't know.
I know exactly. It's hurting Vic. He's like, I wish he was went Joe Burrow or Lamar.
Yeah, and I also want to get another question in as well. But no, but Gilbert did make the better argument here in terms of the talent around and what we've seen Howie Roseman. We know what what Jim Harbaugh is capable of. We just haven't seen it with the Chargers yet, and we know what to expect from the until things change with the Chargers. Then I'm gonna give him the benefit of that's one of the things I've learned from Gilbert is he won't jump, a ship. Like I was on him about Patrick Mahomes, like, and he crowned him like 2 years in, and I was like, whoa, you never do this. So I'll give him I'll give him this for right now. But as you talked about, Fernando, you're right. I mean, I think also with Jim Harbaugh, you know what you're getting, and it's going to take some time. And I think it's going to be a little bit of a process for Charger fans to kind of get used to it because it's gonna come, but it's gonna take a little bit of patience from Charger fans as well. And I think a lot of people are already trying to, jump into the bandwagon, you know, a little bit too quickly, especially this season. And we'll see what happens. But in terms of right now, I think the Eagles are and Jalen Hurts have that where they're primed to win a Super Bowl. And if
Just,
they don't
just,
do
just
it,
to make sure, Victor, that would be your pick too from those names you mentioned.
yes, and because of what you guys have mentioned with the Bengals are cheap. And, Tyler Dragon brought it up in the Super Bowl, and we got a bunch of comments from people saying, hey, that's the old Bengals. They paid Joe Burrow, but are they going to pay those wide receivers? You've already seen Hendrickson saying that he wants to be traded as well. I mean, we don't know how long Lou Aramo,
And
how
Romo.
do you say Romo is going to be there as well. They got lucky that he didn't sign he didn't go and take over a team. So maybe he becomes someone like Steve Spagnuolo and he stays there for a while with the Chiefs. But I mean with the Bengals as well. But I'm with you. I think the Eagles, just because they've been able to, you know, although I'm not a big fan, as you talked about, of Howie Roseman and what he's done, I just think he gets way too much credit. And sometimes, look, things work out in your favor, and he's been able to do so. And I think he learned his lesson. I'm still kind of questioning with those linebackers, like you said, but that's for another day. All right, guys, we're tied up 2-2 here as we go to our fifth question. So three of the big names that moved to new teams during the offseason were Kirk Cousins, Derrick Henry, and Saquon Barkley. Which of these three players will have the biggest impact on their team this season?
You said Kirk Cousins, Saquon. What was the other name?
And Derrick Henry with the Ravens.
Well, it has to be Kirk Cousins. Like I don't know. The running backs are old. I'm gonna maybe regret doubting the machine that is Derrick Henry. But Saquon gets hurt a lot. I know I just made a case for the Eagles going to the Super Bowl. Maybe I'm gonna contradict myself here. But it's gotta be the quarterback, right? He's gonna be a lot on your plate. And then unless you have Michael Penix Jr. taking his job, which would be chaos all around for the Atlanta Falcons. But you got Bijan, you got Drake London, you have Kyle Pitts. You would think that he's going to make them better, right? So I'm gonna go with Kirk here, and I actually kind of I did pick that the Falcons would win the division, so I'm expecting a good year from Kirk Cousins. They blew an opportunity to get better defensively by not using number 8 pick on a defensive player. That's a different story, but I think in terms of impact, it's got to be the quarterback position. I'm gonna go with Kirk.
So Gilbert just took the easy way out. I'm going to go with Derrick Henry. I think Derrick Henry might, because of the way that the Ravens run their offense, obviously, Lamar's a threat to take off and run. And I know fans always get mad when people say that or national people say that or whatever, but it's the truth. Lamar does do his fake handoffs, takes off running. So now you have the threat of that. And I think Derrick Henry might see less work, but he might see more production out of it just because I believe that the threat of what Lamar can do with the ball in his hands, I think people will get nervous about that. And I think Derrick will show exactly that Tennessee was not misusing him, but he was so good, so productive for so many years, but he had to stay in Tennessee. I mean, a lot of those teams wouldn't have made I remember a couple of years ago, Derrick was the reason why they beat Miami. He was the reason why they beat Baltimore in the playoffs. So I think Derrick Henry is going to be the one that shows the impact. I think he'll show he still has life, and he'll show that he still has a little bit of juice. So I'm gonna go Derrick Henry in that new in Baltimore. I think it'll be a good dynamic for both sides.
Fernando, you hit it right on the head there. And, I'm going to give you the win here and I'm going to explain why. Gilbert, you're right. I mean, the quarterback is the most important position in football. But why would you go and draft a guy, if you thought he was a guy? We don't know if he's going to come back from his Achilles. We're talking as of May. And Fernando, to your point, one of the reasons that we all thought that the Ravens were going to beat the Chiefs was because they were going to run the ball. They didn't do that in the AFC Championship game. You better run the ball with Derrick Henry if you went out there and got him. So and they got rid of two of the running backs. They're now with the Chargers. So I think he's going to have the biggest impact in terms
He's
of
like
not
50 in running back years. Come on, Vic.
This guy.
yeah, but he hasn't, like, we keep saying that, and yet he keeps producing. I know eventually he's gonna pop a tire here and there, but I just don't think they're gonna abuse him during the regular season. I think his impact is gonna come in the postseason, and they're gonna use him there. So that's the reason why I'm giving Fernando the win here.